what I got to say you really don't want to hear, because honesty ain't too high up on your people's priority list, right?
Honesty? You want honesty?
Oh, yeah, it's the Monday after the game. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk entertainment. You know what? And we said it yesterday in the video. It's going to happen. The Giants came crashing down 27-13 a little bit. A lot of people want to talk about how well the defense played and how the entire game was Richie James' fault. I blame Richie James for everything because it was all his fault. I love it because Richie James just last week or a couple weeks ago, he was the hero of the Giants. He was the savior of the receiving corps. How we now have to go out and get Jerry Jeudy, but with Denver winning, why are they going to move on from Jeudy? Don't know. Don't understand. It's the fickleness again of the fans. They love, you know what, Apollo Creed said it best in Rocky 3. They love you when you're bleeding, but as soon as you make a mistake or you're out of the ring, they don't care about you. This game was not solely lost because of Richie James. And I think it's extremely short-sighted that you have a segment of the fan base who thinks that this game all comes down to the miscues by Richie James. It doesn't. It really doesn't. You have to look at the entire dichotomy of this game. You have to look at everything that went on during this game. There is plenty of blame to go around, and there's certain credit that needs to be given to Seattle. So before you go and attack one singular player, look at everything. Let's start with the top. Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley doesn't run. Giants don't win. 20 carries, 53 yards, 2.71 touchdown. The touchdown came on the Lockett fumble. There was no running room. There was no space. The Seattle defense was very much so a stifling defense against the rush today. So you not only do you have to give, you have to look at the fact that our once truly offensive weapon could not get started as a reason why we lost this game. Daniel Jones, they cut off the running lanes. 6 carries, 20 yards, 3.3. Longest run was 6. Seattle figured it out. And I don't understand why teams have not been following the Bears' lead with Daniel Jones. Keep a spy in the middle of the field. He does not have the acceleration out of his breaks to be a running quarterback. While he has the speed when he gets into the open field and gets going downhill, I've said it a million times before, he's like that 76 Oldsmobile I had. Oldsmobile was great. You got it up on top of the hill and you push it downhill, it went like a rocket. But when you take off his Daniel Jones' best attribute, Daniel Jones' best trait for this Giant team is his ability to run the ball. You take that away from him. You have defensive linemen running him down, and you have him rely on the pass. This was the game I was worried about. This was the game that we get behind and we're going to have to throw. Daniel Jones had some horrible throws. Now, of course, everyone's going to blame the weather, even though Geno Smith was 23 for 34. But they're going to blame the weather for his 17 for 31 for 176 and only 5.7 yards. An average play was 5.7 yards. Everyone's going to blame that. But the problem is you are going to run into a situation where you're going to have to throw the ball. And I've always felt that when that situation came, and I've talked about it, that Daniel Jones is going to fold. Daniel Jones had the fumble, but she recovered. He should have had the interception, which was dropped on that 4th down play. But that was actually a good play that they did drop it because of the fact that it would have netted him negative yards on that play. But he has to come up with the big play on 4th down. He throws a really bad pass. He threw some terrible sideline passes. He is not a sideline quarterback. And there is a reason why the Shane goes out and scouts every time, that they go out and scout every week for different quarterbacks. There's a reason why. Because this team knows Daniel Jones' limitations and they know Daniel Jones' deficiencies. I've said it before, and I posted the link today for the Kurt Warner video. Kurt Warner video was a great breakdown of Daniel Jones. It was an honest breakdown of Daniel Jones, and that's what it was. It was an honest assessment and breakdown of the fact that if Daniel Jones needs to be the one that's going to have to solely carry your team, and especially doing it, throwing the ball, it's not going to work because he's just not that type of quarterback. Kurt Warner even came out, and what does Kurt Warner know? Kurt Warner is just a bum that's in the Hall of Fame, that's been to 3 Super Bowls and's got a Super Bowl ring. What does he know? I like when people pick on Dan Orlovsky, whatever his name is, because they don't like Daniel Jones. Yeah, he was only an NFL quarterback. So what the hell does he know? I mean, definitely people on YouTube and Twitter know much more than he does. It just makes me laugh because the fact, like I said it again, there is a reason why the Shane goes out every weekend and scouts quarterbacks. I'm not saying the Giants aren't going to make the playoffs at 6-2. They're sitting right now. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But I am saying this game showed this team's deficiencies. It showed that there are problems on this team a wide receiver is not going to cure. You going out and spending, and I don't think Shane's going to make any type of trade for a wide receiver, because why are you going to go out and give assets to another team to bring in a guy that you're probably not going to use in the way that most people think, because the Giants are a running team. Even though they lost to Seattle and were outscored by 14 points, they still maintain the time of possession at 33 minutes to 26. Now, you can sit there and you can blame Richie James all you want. And the Richie James fumbles were backbreakers. They were killers. But Seattle had the same problem. Seattle with the Lockett, right off the bat, off that turnover, Giants punching in for a touchdown. So I think it's short-sighted and ill-regard and ill-advised, it's an ill-advised thing to just blame one player. Because anyone that, and I keep talking about this, anyone that's played the game will understand this. You don't lose a game off of one play. You lose a game off of multiple plays during the game. Coaches get this. Bill Parcells understood this. It's not just one player, one play that costs you a game. There's probably about 6 or 7, or if not more, plays during the game that are crucial to you winning, that when you do not convert or you do not come through in the clutch, that's what costs you to lose the game. And it just pisses me off when people sit there and like, well, it's all Richie James' fault. No. Take a look at your running back, who did not play well. Take a look at your quarterback, who, when he was asked to do what we needed a quarterback to do, couldn't do it. Take a look at your defense that held up at times, played well at times, but then once again, when it matters, they get gashed. And I've said it before, just dump Tay Crowder, please. Tay Crowder just misses more tackles than you even want to count on your own fingers. And, Fabian had a bad game. Adoree Jackson looked good at times, but also then got burned. It just happens. And so if you're going to blame Richie James, why come you're not blaming Adoree Jackson? How come you're not blaming Mr. Fabian? How come you're not blaming them? How come you're not blaming them for not containing Geno Smith on that big scramble that basically iced the game? Why are you not complaining about that? Because it's easier just to point at one player than to look back at this Giant team and say, you know what? This team has, even at 6-2, they have deficiencies. And they have deficiencies that need to be corrected. Kayvon Thibodeau, great example. Kayvon Thibodeau, I think, has all the talent in the world. I think he's playing well enough, especially for a rookie. But he needs to cut his outside rush more into the inside. He's using his speed to loop around, but the problem is the tackle is just pushing him out of the play. That's something that needs to be taken a look at and addressed with the coaching staff. He needs to cut his rush to the inside. He's looping in way too late into the pocket to make any type of impact, because what they did today is they just pushed him out of the pocket. And that's what these are the things that the Giants need to focus on. You can't just how come we're not blaming Xavier McKinney? No, we're going to blame one guy because that is the easy way to do it. That is the easy way out for Giant fans. And this is what pisses me the hell off. It's the fact that you got idiots on social media that are just blaming one guy who was the savior not too long ago. But you're going to just blame one guy because it's easier for you to do that than to literally look into the mind's eye of the Giants and say, okay, yes, we're 6-2, but maybe we're not the best 6-2 team there is. We have a potential to make the playoffs because of the schedule, but it might be an up-road battle because of the fact that we are going to run into these types of buzzsaw games. I don't think this was a trap game. I just think there was a game that Seattle played better and we played worse. That the ball didn't, and I've said it a million times, I said in the video yesterday, the ball bounces funny for a reason because it's shaped that way for a reason. That's what you need to look at. And you're not going to get every bounce every day. And honestly, if you want to be honest about it, Kafka got outcoached. He did not make the adjustments he probably should have in the second half. And there was some very questionable play calling. He got outcoached. And once you take away and limit the short passing game for Daniel Jones, and like I said in the video yesterday, you put a spy on Daniel Jones, you cover the tight end, they do the play action rollout, Daniel Jones doesn't have those options. He doesn't know what to do. And that should have been taken a cue in the second half of the Bears game. That's what every team in this league should look at for the Giants. And I think going forward, Pete Carroll has shown the league the way in reference to the Giants offense. And I hope with the bye week that Kafka and Dable come up with something new, come up with some new wrinkles, and do something differently. Because you know what? When you stop Saquon Barkley and you put the ball in the hands of Daniel Jones, bad things are going to happen. And that's not me bashing Daniel Jones. He is limited as a quarterback. And this is why he won't be back next year. And this is why Shane goes out every weekend and scouts a quarterback on Saturdays, even the day before games. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you like, you subscribe. If you ring that bell, you know what it means. That'd be awesome.